Hi, just recording this video for you. Welcome today on the introduction to AI search, where we will delve into the clear understanding why data first analytics is next productivity frontier and understanding the core pillars of building AI search as a platform. But before we get started, just a short introduction about myself. I'm a founder of AI Search with around 20 years in data engineering space. I happen to put on multiple hats, including those of architects, VP of engineering, CTO, and founder. Across a wide range of technology firms, I have architected engineering solutions for several A players, including like of JP Morgan Chase, Santander, Royal Bank of Scotland, Nissan Manufacturing Unit, and many, many more. Notably, I led the entire big data architecture team for a UK largest smart city project. It was a huge transformation, and being part of that, I have been working on like distributed storage, distributed compute tools, and services around that of many years now. And of course, I've seen a lot of pain points that come along with that, especially with the like of setting up the centralized data and governance. But today, I'm on a mission to make data science accessible to everyone and empower businesses to make agile data driven decisions. I know it's a big say, but listen me out here. Well, what I have prepared for you today is actually a bit of a journey. So I want to give you a brief glimpse at how the data analytics is looking today at most of the big companies or organizations. I want to give you a short introduction about what data first is all about. And I want to take you on a journey, a data first platform, i.e., the AI search. Great. Starting with data analytics today, or how I love to call it as oversimplified history of data analytics. It has basically been two major paradigms that have been stuck around for a couple of decades. I would say the first one being the data warehouse. Everybody knows it. Everybody knows what the data warehouse purpose is for. It's mostly used for analytical reporting. It's mostly used for BI use cases, and it's somewhat simple and how it is structured as you directly take your data from many different sources and put a lot of efforts into preparing the data. Now here's the catch, right? Providing quality data when loading the data into data warehouse, interestingly, this has a couple of drawbacks as well, because on the one hand side it is very tough to actually do this on a scaling purpose, where you have more and more data that want to get integrated with your data warehouse, and especially when it comes to the amount of data that you want to store. But of course, where there has been some technology shift over the last years, I would say 2 decades, especially with the introduction of cloud, with the massive introduction of object storage of the distributed processing, the data lake became the much more permanent solution to actually address this issue, where we basically have infinite storage, where we can just get all the data in that we want to have. And that also where we saw like some of the ways of how we are dealing with the data have changed, because now the ingestion barrier of getting the data into is much lower. So we are just storing everything there, and we then put the efforts afterwards to actually make sense of the data and prepare it accordingly. Now, interestingly, looking at this from a bird's eye view, those two approaches are actually not that different. Because to some extent, there's certain data that resides in your source system that you get into your central storage systems, i.e., being a data warehouse or a data lake. And then you have a lot of consumers that actually access the data from there. And this leads to a couple of major deficits that have been discovered over a couple of years. I would say the least 3 to 4 years now. The first one is the efforts are same or more. What differs is in data warehouse, your efforts are before storing the data into the centralized data storage. And in data lake, the efforts are after you have stored the data in your centralized data storage. Second one is the disconnect between the product, i.e., the sources, and the consumers, i.e., the use cases. Like you really have a problem that with the central storage, you have an infrastructure team and middle. that is responsible for maintaining the system and the data within it. But the people actually consuming the data, they only know this infrastructure team, and they have no direct connection anymore onto the people that actually produce this data, i.e., the product team. So you are ending up with a lot of unclear data ownership and unclear data responsibility. And this is really not scaling well, because on the one hand side you have an ever growing amount of data or producers, but you also have ever growing amount of consumers that actually want to make use of this produced data. And this is incredibly hard because your infrastructure team cannot infinitely scale, because there's just simply an organization limit, or also limit in terms of money that the companies or organizations are willing to put in there. And especially when you look at this, like quality control, it really does not scale well, because either you slow down everyone by forcing some quality standards on them, or the quality simply goes down. Now, that's been said, data measures the savior of all that. No, of course, it is not. But it's one of the approach to actually think about these things. And this is exactly what I want to actually address now. So let me quickly share what data first actually is. It consists of three major pillars. These are the key parts that I will now be introducing one by one. The first one being the product thinking of data, followed with the decentralized domain driven data ownership, to platform thinking of data infrastructure. So starting off with data as a product, well, you see the data infrastructure team more or less like working in IT companies, and they are more or less familiar with the product thinking, but more from a technical perspective. So it's a mindset game, right? For many, many years, the data that is produced by the source application has always been a byproduct. It has never been a core focus of what we are actually doing with that. And this is exactly what we want to change. Here, we want to make sure that we actually see data as a product. We want to make sure that that it deserves, that it gets the attention. And the second big part is, we want to make sure that these people that know the most about the data are also the one that actually take on the responsibility for producing it, and for taking care of the quality, and for taking care of all this things that makes the end user, business stakeholders happy with the data in the end. And those are the usually the people that sits within the respective domain, the domain expertise. Decentralized domain oriented data ownership. Previously, with the centralized infrastructure team setup, this was always a cross domain cutting problem that we had. That what I call it as data last approach. And with this decentralized domain oriented data ownership, we want to have the people again to take end to end responsibility for data. And we want to have the domain experts, the i.e., the data savvy, not the technology savvy, be the one that actually take ownership for the data that they are producing. And of course, considering the previous point, that they are now the ones that actually take the end-to-end ownership for the actual data that they are producing, it also makes much more sense, and is much more easier to put it in place, because now the infrastructure team is freed up to actually work on the specific features that brings the most value to the company as a whole, not just some very specific use cases. The third part, platform thinking for data infrastructure, and there's also where my personal interest is actually. We want to change, we want to make sure that the infrastructure that is provided stays data agnostic. We want to make sure that there are certain things that are provided to everyone in the company independently from their use cases. And of course, considering the previous point that the domain experts are now the ones that actually take the end to end ownership for the actual data that they are providing, it also makes much more sense and much more easier to put in one place using a self-service data platform. I emphasize self-service data platform, and this comes with certain features like discoverability. I want to offer a capability that allow the owners to actually make the data sets properly visible. I want to have the data addressable, so that I can actually get the data and need it to be self-describing, which is again a combination of people putting in necessary information on the data set, but also providing the platform capabilities to actually ease that journey. The data need to be secure, the data need to be trustworthy, and last but not the least, data need to be interoperable. Now that's been discussed in detail. What's next? We want to deliver these capabilities through AI search as a platform. And this is possible through these self-service data platforms, enabling the domain experts, i.e., in a non-tech savvy, to take control of the data. AI search is a disruptive solution focusing on productivity faster, reducing time to value, speed, and the pro technical stuff, saving time, saving talent, saving money, allowing data and ML engineers to focus on what's important for a company as a whole, and empowering data users or producers to turn data into value. It's a powerful software that lower the cost of the ownership with maintenance last to data first mindset. AI search blends the best of both the worlds, i.e., the data warehouse and the data lake. Best of both. And it is an end-to-end solution that have inbuilt data governance, data quality, data lineage, orchestration, data observability, and data shareability. How do we do this? AI Search has created its own cloud management platform to provide customers with a secure solution in which they can manage their data while also benefiting from an optimal level of independence. Simply to put, AI Search grants domain experts data science without data scientists. Productivity is important for us. With a low code data infrastructure as a platform, domain experts can focus on exactly what's important to their business use cases or ecosystems. Seamlessly connecting wide variety of data sources, be it online or on premise, first party or third party, and converting it into an orchestrated quality data pipeline. It's just a matter of a click now. No more waiting for data before even starting to build your models. Be agile in delivering the data use cases. Not just that, gathering right data always is important. So we offer complete visibility into the complex data pipeline as well as intelligence to help you monitor your data sets and notify data quality issues before they happen. Our solution includes auto rectification too. No more back and forth with the data ops. Fix and deliver when it is needed. We are a data first result oriented team, hyper focused on one thing, transforming the way the business drive the impact with the data. Our vision: AI search will democratize data science by making scalable machine learning more accessible to all the companies wherever in the world. Thank you for attentively listening to me. I've left below all the links that are demonstrating our product capabilities and their use cases. Feel free to go through all those links. And if any queries or any questions, I'm happy to answer that. Thank you very much.